So in this short video, I'm going to show you how to retouch one of the other photos in assignment 4.2, retouch and make adjustments using the spot healing tool. Specifically, I'm going to use the lady.jpg image. This one seems to be quite troublesome for people, and lots of people try it. So I'm not saying that this is going to be perfect, but I'm going to give it a shot and use tools that we've already discussed in class. So I've already have downloaded the lady. I'm opening it up. I'll be zooming in so that I can see what I'm doing a little bit closer. One of the main objectives, I would say, is that we don't really want to get rid of all the wrinkles, because that would be kind of impossible, and at least with the tools that we're using, sometimes the effect is that rather than healing, we may be carving new spaces where there shouldn't be some. And the result is a little bit uneven. I would compare this more to the cactus exercise that we've done before, where you made a copy of the sky and the mountains, and then with the brush, but rather than using the clone tool like we did there, we're going to be using, let me see where my tools are. Well, I'm going to be using the Band-Aid tool. I call it the Band-Aid tool just because of the icon shape, healing brush tool. And click holding the Band-Aid spot. We don't want the spot healing brush, that's just for little bits here and there. The healing brush tool is what we want. That's what we use on the other wrinkle with the other image with the gentleman's face. I'm going to start with a fairly soft brush. Mine is at 25 pixels in size right now. The hardness is at 50. I'm going to take this hardness down. Not necessarily down to 0 or non-existent, maybe somewhere between 50 and 20. And I'm going to try to start with the larger problems in this image. So I'll start with maybe this one wrinkle under her left eye. I'm holding and pressing the Option key on my Mac, Alt key on your PC, and I'm going to select an area, not necessarily the wrinkle, but below the wrinkle, where it's not so bad. There's some good things that we can copy from here. Before I go any further than that, although this would work fine, I want to do a non-destructive edit. So I need to, first of all, get a new layer on top, create a new layer, and then make sure that I'm on layer 1, whatever the layer is called that's up there, and I'm going to call this wrinkle work. And make sure that on my dashboard I am selecting all layers. There's only 2, current and below would work as well, but all layers, you play it safe. So to go back to where I was, going to get started by making that selection. Maybe I already did it, I'll do it again. I'll make a selection below the wrinkle so that I get some good skin, and I'll click right about here just once. Let go of the Option button, and then not necessarily try to fix everything, but make it just a short trip to take away a little bit of that wrinkle. Now, I'm not taking anything away. If anything, I'm just hiding it. This is what happened. I have made a copy just like I did with the other tool. By the other tool, I mean the clone stamp. But this one actually got a lot of color and lighting and took things into consideration. Part of the advantage of working on a separate layer is that although it looks like I might have done a little bit too much, right here it's kind of uneven. I can use another tool. I can use the eraser tool, which works just as a brush, except this one literally does erase things. Since I'm already on my wrinkle work layer, anything that I erase is fine, because all it is just a layer of paint on top of all these things. I'm going to make sure that I have a good size brush. Take it up to, I don't know, about 30 for this particular option here. And make sure that the hardness is way down low as well, so that I can just sort of scratch off that extra material. A little bit of the wrinkle comes back, but that's better than the unnatural look that was achieved before. So then I can switch back to my other tool and try to do a better job about getting that skin copied there. And maybe that looks a little bit better. I'm going to move around to another part of the face And I'll work on the crow's feet next. I'm going to click on the good skin below the big wrinkles and just sort of gingerly try to cover them up, just one at a time. I'm not doing very long brush strokes, just a few millimeters of the mouse movement. I'll continue with the same thing. I'm actually picking up new parts of the face here and try to bring it up there. Make sure that the lighting that you're selecting matches the area that you're trying to correct. I should use correct instead of fix. We're not really fixing anything. And I'm going to click below the eye and see how well I can do there. There's still a little bit of an eye bag there, but when I zoom out, it starts to look a little bit better without the lady being all scarred. And like I said, what's actually happening is that I'm just drawing copies of parts of the face on top of her. And some of them can be corrected, some of them can be deleted. Since I have the brush tool out, I can actually make it really large. I'm using my bracket keys to make it large and just sort of attack this area from the side so that my handiwork sort of blends in as I brush it out. I'll go back to the brush tool and continue to heal the process of healing on this side. I'll make my brush a little bit larger, and there's going to be a lot of switching sizes, and maybe in some areas you might want to work with a brush that's not so soft. I just find that the soft brush ends up with a little bit better looking edges. I'll click on this area. I undid that because my brush is currently too large. I'll make it smaller so that I can concentrate on this one particular troublesome wrinkle, and do the same on this side. Make sure that you do it in short bursts. If you keep on going for too long without raising your hand or your finger from the mouse button, you'll start to duplicate some of the areas, and unfortunately then the lady, especially around the nose, she'll start looking like a Kardashian from, or I should say a Kardashian, I forget now. Which one was it from Star Trek? I think they were Kardashians with the rich nose, not the other Kardashians. I get the feeling I should not quit my day job. I'll keep on working on the wrinkles on the side. And key to this exercise, if you get to a point where you feel like she looks a lot better than when she started, we took away a whole bunch of major wrinkles, maybe added a little bit of makeup there, not necessarily Botox, but just something to make her look a little bit lighter, a little bit smoother, then you can probably just call it a day and say, you know, she looks a lot better than she did before, and you know, I should move on to the next thing. I'm just going to do a couple of other things on the side of her mouth with the same tool. Make the brush a little bit larger, click, and sample, just like we did with the cows and just like we did with the mountain and the cactus. You can see how Photoshop is locating the areas. I went too far there. Don't want to get rid of that wrinkle there. It's just a ridge on her face. As I'm going and duplicating, you can see the cursor is following the areas that you're actually telling it to clone and bring into the new area that is being painted. So I think that it's beginning to look like she's maybe getting a little bit too smooth. Don't want to go too far. Don't want to exaggerate this. I think that it's a good. It was a good attempt. I'll zoom out. I do have a few spots in here that I can correct, and since I'm on a separate layer and I have this other tool handy, the eraser tool, I'm gonna get rid of some of those colors, and then that should be it. I'll make this large. I know that it's already soft, so I'll just sort of brush up a little bit. I'm on the wrinkle work layer, and then those spots actually, or at least parts of them, disappear. Her mouth looks a little bit better now, and that's it. That's all she wrote.